Welcome to the Youth Pastors Are Pastors Too podcast, recorded in Central Texas, broadcasting to the world. Join your hosts and their weekly guests for insight, advice, guidance, and ideas to help your ministry flourish and help you take care of yourself. Now, with a combined 35 years of ministry experience, your hosts, Jacob Taylor and Jeremy Helms.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 14. We are 14 into this, and what a journey to get to this episode. It is, man, the journey to get to 14, not just overall, where we record every week, but just today, where we had to reschedule guests and guests not having something to come up in last second, to where we had to make a joint phone call to our guest tonight and leave him a strongly worded PG-13 voicemail.
We need you on the show tonight. Voicemail.
And then we text him and then he answers, but doesn't. Yeah, but that's Morgan. Morgan, he will not answer your phone call, but he'll answer your text. So
he will text you back. So.
I guess we need to introduce for people that haven't listened. I'm Jacob. This is my voice, and then we are it's only me, my co-host Jeremy. Jeremy, what's up?
Hey, it's going, man, and I'm excited about episode 14 just as much as you are. Whether we had a small hitch or not. Whether we procrastinated or not, we won't ever tell. We'll just tell you that we had a last-minute change, and we had an awesome interview, and you're going to want to stick around for the interview.
It definitely turned out pretty good, considering it was like a last-second, even our show outline was pieced together last second, because we had a different topic for different guests that's going, like, perfect example for our topic, and unfortunately it didn't work out.
Yeah,
but we'll have someone come in, and hopefully we have another.
We're already making plans for next week.
Yeah. We're trying to stay on top of it and
trying to stave off the summertime blues, right?
Yeah, I can't. Man, it's especially the last 2 weeks. So, how you been? I know your wife's out of town, so you've been kind of what do you call it? Bachelor patting it up for the last couple of days.
Yeah, just a little bit. I've done a few honeydews around the house. Man, I had this funny bolt stuck on the toilet because I replaced all the toilet seats in the house, and we have 3. And I had this bolt that I couldn't get off, which is the weirdest thing ever. And there was no hex head, there was no flat head on the top, and so I finally just grabbed some channel locks and just muscled the thing off. I don't know. I almost got some bolt cutters. I didn't know what to do.
Sometimes you just have to.
Anyways, I got all 3 of her replaced. So I did a few honeydews. We've done a few things around the house, and the boys and we watched Loki tonight. Disney Plus, the latest Marvel TV series came out. So pretty excited about that. It was really good. They say episode 2, like episode 1 was kind of the building block, and then episodes 2 next Wednesday is supposed to be really good. So I loved Loki, and it's just continuing this Marvel universe. I love all things Marvel.
Is that on TV?
No, just Disney Plus. I mean, they're releasing every Wednesday. They release an episode on Wednesdays.
That's annoying.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you could binge watch it, I guess, like in 8 weeks. But if you want to stay in the know, stay in the current, then every Wednesday you watch it like a traditional TV show. So we did that with Falcon and whatever the name of that one was, and then Scarlet Witch. We watched almost. So the thing with Scarlet Witch was it was a Friday release, but they would put it on at 2 a.m. Friday. And so I'm not gonna lie, me and the boys stayed up till 2 a.m. watching Scarlet Witch, and we were hooked. We loved it. So it was good times. And just a side note here, Jacob, he probably won't tell you, but I'll tell you. He preached last Sunday at the senior Sunday at their church, and he filled in. And so after church, I got to listen to Jacob on the live stream, and he knocked it out of the park. Listen, He nailed it. And I was sitting there amening with him in the car driving down Mopac and just did an awesome job. So if you want to hear Jacob preach, I highly recommend going and checking out the Cedar Valley Facebook page and finding last Sunday, what was that, June 6th?
Yeah.
I think June 6th live stream. And go listen to Jacob because he did an awesome job. He gives you 3 points and it's money right there. And we're going to talk about live stream here in just a minute. But Jacob, man, tell me about your week. What's going on with you? How's it going?
Well, someone's at my front door. Anyways, you know, it's been kind of it feels like it's been busy, but it might have not been. But something about when I preach and stuff, I put so much effort into preparing and trying to be ready for Sunday to be as the best I can to give what God's laid on my heart, that I put so much time into it that once Sunday's over, it's like how do you put it, uh just like a crash, basically, where I'm
Yeah.
just so ready to like just shut down for a little bit. And that's kind of what I did, really. Is I would go to work and I haven't really focused on anything but other than just relaxing, and spend a lot of time the last couple of days playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
If we posted the picture today, Jeremy and I have been tearing it up on Call of Duty mobile. We don't play on like PlayStation or anything, but on the phones we've been driving my wife crazy. While she's trying to sleep, I'm in here yelling at Jeremy like, "There's a guy coming around the corner." So yeah, I mean,
And the snowboards, they have this snowboard thing.
I didn't even know that was the thing.
Super cool.
So hey, if you are out there and you listen and you play Call of Duty on mobile, hit us up. We want to build a team and just can you make? I was going to look this up earlier. Can we make a server just for youth ministers or pastors that play? I don't know.
Well, we definitely have to Google that, but I think you actually can create a clan. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
like who's online when they're online. So
that's a smart idea. That's why we pay you the big bucks. See?
oh goodness gracious, I'm
So,
waiting. I'm waiting for the check.
yeah, well, you'll keep waiting because you get the same check I get. So
That's all good.
yeah, it's been a slow week, but it's been a good week, and just kind of refueling. Kind of had a laid back night at church. We're watching a movie, the resurrection of somebody. I don't remember the name, but
Reggie, is it Reggie somebody?
yeah, I texted it to you, but I had
No,
much.
you told me
Did
on
I?
the phone.
Oh, I told
You
you
told
on
me
the
on the
phone.
phone.
I had so much text. I had it planned out. It was a perfect length movie to get us through the whole night. Apparently, because I used it off of Netflix doesn't allow you to put it on a separate screen than from your computer. They black it out. So
Yeah.
I had to figure out something to where I had to basically set my laptop up front of the room, and it took me a little bit of time to figure that out. And so
Yes, they think you might be broadcasting it to the masses and sharing it and making money off of it or something, right?
yeah, so we only got halfway through, so next week we'll finish it, and I think after that I might take some Wednesdays off just to refuel from the last year and then get ready for summer camp. Our camp registration ends on Friday, so
Yeah.
and 15 spots and they're all full. So
What?
yeah, I'm super stoked. I was telling my wife the other day that I was like, I really don't know who's going to go, because we had a bunch of families that are regulars schedule their vacation that week, not on purpose, and it just happened to be that way. And I was super disappointed that we weren't going to have all these these kids weren't going, and then people really like bringing their cousins and their friends from school, so filled that up. So it's been just one of those weeks, and
taking a solid group to camp. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm super stoked about that. So anyways, we mentioned live streaming. You watched me on live stream. I know we had some internet difficulties on our personal live stream on Sunday, but you still can listen to the audio. So, and I think that brings up our topic and our guest. Today we have Morgan. Morgan's been one of my best friends for at least 15, 20 years. We grew up together. He was in my youth group. He was part of Garrett's band. If you remember Garrett a couple of weeks ago, he helped me set up our live stream at Cedar Valley, worked at camp together. You name it. When I left the ministry for a little bit to pursue the welding career, Morgan was there too. He was a helper, and then he went into the transportation part of it. And we it seems like every road that we go down, we always cross paths. And I know he worked with Jeremy for a long time at Highland Lakes, doing all that stuff. So I guess we just jump right into this.
Yeah, excited to have him on. Let's go.
What's up, guys? On the Kelsey Adair hotline, we have a special guest, a last-minute guest. Hey, Morgan. The guest is Morgan. Did you get our voicemail?
No, probably not. I haven't had my phone all day.
Okay, well, after this, you got to go check your voicemail.
Okay.
It's probably the best voicemail you've ever received in your entire life.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to keep it for the rest of your life. We have Morgan today on the Kelsey Adair hotline. Like you said, probably said in the intro, or going to say in the intro, last minute changes. We called and messaged a couple of people, and Morgan just happened to be the one that answered us. So he jumped on, and this is a last minute episode that we kind of put together just to do. So, Jeremy, do you want to?
But the content is there. The content is there. So just
he started talking, and we couldn't get him to stop because we're like, dude, we got to record this. Morgan can talk. I'll tell you a story about Morgan. Morgan was in my youth group, and we were going to Colorado for conveniently he lives there now, but we were going to Colorado for youth camp, and we left Texas, drove to New Mexico, then New Mexico up to Colorado, and this kid never stopped talking. It was so bad. And then we get into Colorado, and he's like, wake up, the snow on top of the mountains. And I was livid.
I recall you like taking the seatbelts apart and literally like tying my arms to the seats I would not move and not talk. I was like tied and chained to the seat so that
I told that story on the podcast. I think it was like with Keith. I told because he had a story where the kid tied the seatbelt around his neck and he couldn't get it undone, and he started choking, and they had to pull over and cut the seatbelt off his neck.
Oh, God.
So
Morgan, I do remember it. It was terrifying.
What do kids think of these days? It's like
I just don't know.
Well, listen, Morgan Adair is on staff at Flatirons Church in Colorado. That's North Texas to some of us. And he has been on staff for
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
He's been in the audiovisual world for at least, 15 years, 12 years?
I met you in 2009, so it would have been 2009.
Do we count that first year? Do we count that first year? Because I understand.
That was when I got into lighting, because Brandon needed somebody to like press the buttons on the lighting console. I was like, I can do that. I play drums. I can just, and that was my start. Jeremy was front of house on that crappy Allen and Heath console, and I had this little Behringer lighting console, and we just clicked around. It was great. 32 par cans. I remember it. It was fun.
Yes, sir. And so Morgan and I served together at Highland Lakes Camp, and Jacob and not coincidentally, but I've known Morgan's family for, I guess, since I've been alive. I knew his grandparents and know his parents, and played golf with his dad out there at the Bastrop State Park when there was a golf course. And anyways, I'm giving you TMI. But anyways,
R.I.P.
Yeah, that's true.
I drive by there, and it breaks my heart that golf course is not there no more.
You think the holes are still there?
No.
I was just thinking, like, if we just go out there and start playing randomly, it's going to be
Yeah.
terrible.
Every time I drive by it when I'm in Texas, I'm like, I'm just gonna go
Just walk.
play a hole. Number 3, the short par
The
3.
short par
That was my
3,
favorite
yeah.
one.
I like that backside. That was I think it was a par 4,
Mhm.
and you could just hit it. And you know what? If you lost the ball, it didn't matter because it was gone forever. You wouldn't
You just find another
Yeah.
one.
just pop another one. So,
Yeah.
well, today's topic is live stream ministry and live stream and all the things live stream. Because if we're going to ask anybody, how many campuses do you guys have?
So we have 5 physical locations, and we have a ministry called God Behind Bars, which is a campus that's in prisons. And then we count our online as a campus. So 7.
Okay, cool.
That's interesting.
Well, and so the first question out of the bag is, tell me a little bit how you were involved in that, and then just a little bit about that ministry and how your church has seen it maybe be effective in your area.
Yeah. I guess as far as like my role in it, I'll start with that. So my title is live production lead. So I have a production director, and then I'm over all live production, which is like the execution of stuff. So my part in it is getting the content to the broadcast team, whether it be like audio, video, or lighting. So like making sure that the lighting, how it's affecting the video, is like the pastor being seen, is he clearly lit? Video wise, is it we have like anywhere from like 9 to 12 cameras running on a week. Are the cameras working? Are they functioning? Are they capturing what they need to be? Are the cameras where they need to be? And then the team that works under me, the live production team, like they're kind of like the branches of it. So they execute that, as well as each campus has a like part-time staff contractor guy who is receiving the content at the campuses. So we have multi-site campuses, which is getting a stream, and then we have online, which is a different stream. Not to get too much into like the technical side of it, but there's 2 video switchers that are running at the same time. One is going to campuses and the side screens in the main room. One is going to online and all of the network sites like God Behind Bars, online ministry, and then there's a church that meets somewhere between Colorado and Kansas that meets in a movie theater. They're not a part of us, but they take our stream and watch it. So like we have a broadcast and we have live. So I work with Brando, who's our broadcast live director. I get him the content, and then he takes it and distributes it out. We use a company called Resi, and that's how we get our streaming content out. I won't get too much into them. If you want to check them out, you can. It's definitely my first recommendation for anybody who's streaming in churches, because it's the only one that can stream to Facebook, YouTube, website, you name it, through one box. There's a cost with it, but that's
everything though.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, so that's kind of like my role in it. What was the other question? I have horrible memory.
Well, let's just go with the next question.
Yeah,
I think you answered the question.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's it. Do you think your live streaming ministry is effective?
It's interesting. So like Flatirons has always been kind of built around this culture of community. So like community, and then like the one of the vision statements is come and see. So like, half of the whole mission of the church is like come and see like what the church is all about, and the other half is go and find. And so like Flatirons has always been so great at come and see, like come check this out. Like we're not afraid to like think outside the box and try things that are I guess unordinary is the word. So like some of the things that we do you wouldn't see in most churches. This week, perfect example, we're doing We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions mashup. It's going to be awesome. So that's been the come and see part. So like people can come into Flatirons and feel, well, this isn't what church normally feels like. So let's give it a shot. So like the struggle has been, how do we bring that to the online world, but still offer that community? So that's kind of been like the ups and downs of it. Like I would say by all means, we don't have it figured out. I'll be the first one to say that. Like we'll never be that church that has 80,000 views at one time, and we don't want to be that church. I think we were just talking in that strategy today. It's like those places, they have such a big net, they just kind of throw it out. And at least my opinion on it is like, I was into that church for a while, but I just can't connect to it anymore because there's just no connection for me to have. So like the hardest part is like, how do you bring this come and see and then go and send mentality into an online environment? And I think that's the trickiest part of what churches are dealing with today.
Because I think when you think about the word ecclesia and you think about the word church, it's the people, right? And so if you turn your TV on, you turn your browser on, you turn your phone on, and then that's all you do, church is more about the community, right? Yeah, kind of like you said, right? Come and see. So it seems, we want to be more face to face. So how do you think the church can be more effective Monday through Saturday, but still connect on Sunday through the live stream? What do you think?
Man, and this is something that's kind of like new to me. So Kelsey and I'll just kind of like use a personal example in Kelsey and like our lives. We've recently, my old boss here at Flatirons, we went through a lot of staff changes during COVID. It was really hard, as it was for most people. He stepped out of his role to start like his own church. So he's doing this like home church thing, and it's been really awesome. So they've been meeting on Sundays, but they recently moved to Thursdays. And like the whole idea of this home church thing is like, how do we build community, discipleship, and growth? And just the growth that's happened in Kelsey and myself, really in Kelsey, has just been tremendous. Like she's finally, finding people who can pour into her, people she can pour into. Just like this 360 growth that's happening. Like she can pour into people, people are pouring into her. Kelsey and I are being able to pour into each other like side by side. And then how do you take something like that works really well and use broadcast for it? So like the really popular thing right now is small groups. Yeah. So like, how do we create, how do you get your pastor in front of a camera to, instead of just giving them small group questions on a piece of paper, how do you, and this is just an idea like spitballing, how do you get your pastor on a camera to actually facilitate and walk the people of your church through these questions and be a part of it? So it's like you have online live stream, and that's a really big piece of it, but Monday through Saturday, Jacob, you handle the live stream at your church. To have to do that Monday through Sunday would kill you. Yeah. It's like, how do you, during the week, how are you putting things out there? I'm not really a social media person, but that's the popular thing right now. How are you getting stuff on social media that's creating engagement, that's sparking growth and development and discipleship, but also getting people to come on Sunday to engage in your community, to serve in your community, to be a part of groups. And the thing that churches don't like to talk about is giving, because that's a big part of engagement in church. You have these like four branches of it. Really, it's just like, are you attending? Are you serving? Are you in a group of some sort? Are you growing in community? And then are you giving? So it's like, how are you using Monday through Saturday to on-ramp into Sunday morning? Yeah. So, yeah.
That's good.
So
that's real good.
When it comes to your live stream, I'm guessing that y'all did live stream before the COVID. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So something I dealt with was that we didn't live stream before COVID. Yeah. And we were forced into, we actually just recorded on Saturdays and then posted it on Sundays, but we wanted to continue that because we saw the growth from live stream. We actually have a guy I met 2 weeks ago that found us on Facebook and now is attending in person. and
That's awesome.
he's from Smithville. Found us on Facebook and drives from Smithville into Elgin because he saw us online.
Mhm.
But and it was super frustrating. The whole thing was frustrating from the beginning to the end, thinking, oh, well, I could just plug this camera in and plug it straight into the laptop and be like, boom, here's a live stream. And that's not the case, because there's so much technology that goes behind that. What's the most frustrating thing about your live stream?
The most frustrating thing right now is making sure you don't get like kicked off or shut down, in a sense. So like we've had seasons where we dealt with like licensing issues where, like, because we use a lot of like tracks and stems, and sometimes the music sounds pretty similar to what it does on the record, so that can get pretty frustrating. The other thing is like, and I think as, I guess, youth pastors or even like production people, and I'm not trying to badmouth anybody, but like the comments, like sometimes people, it's hard for them to understand what's going on behind the scenes to make it work. And there's not a lot of grace and forgiveness there. So some of the comments we receive in emails are pretty hardcore.
It's like any sound.
It's like, we're trying our best here.
It's like anything that goes, like, not even live stream. If you'd I ran sound, was it a week ago? And I have a student that does a live stream, and then I run the guy that does the sound does the pro presenter as well, and so our worship leader uses a cheat screen on the back wall, and I never think about it because that's not me. I'm live stream, but I needed to fill in for the guy that usually does sound, and I totally skipped one of the slides for the cheat thing, and she messed up on singing, and then the whole church just turned around and looked at me. I'm like, whoa, hey, I'm just the new guy here trying to do this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing on Facebook, because I understand, because our first couple of weeks of going live, when we finally invested into the video stuff, the switchers to the cameras and all that stuff, we were figuring it out as we go, and there was no learning. That you can't learn unless you do it. And I had sound issues where they couldn't hear anything, and the comments on that was just, man, I was like, these are my church people, like they're being rude to me, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a tech savvy guy. I think I spent more time talking to Morgan about live stream than I even call him on a regular basis just to talk to him. So
that is really hard. Like, it's really hard to replicate the in-room live experience. Take that from the person's point of view, sitting in, like at your church, the pews, sitting in the pews and what they're seeing on the stage. It's hard to take that and replicate it online. So I think that's where people's frustrations, like at least talking to my grandmother, because she's like, how come you don't have it working? It's like, I mean, I don't know. Like it's, and I think to get to, I mean, you see some of the larger churches, and like you're seeing what you see from them. And we were just talking about this earlier. It's like, it's really hard to achieve that without spending like large amounts of money. So like, don't try to do that. Like, that would be my advice, is like, don't try to be that. Like, try to find within what you have and what you can, I guess, what you're afforded to be able to use, like, what can you do to make it stable and functional for the people online. And really the biggest underestimation that I've seen from a lot of places is like, really, like, the source of audio is the one thing I've seen people struggle with the most. Like, a lot of people will just send a matrix of like their left right send right into their camera and call it good. Well, the problem with that is, like, depending on your size of your room, you have speakers that are in the room, and that's what the person's mixing for. Somebody at home has their tiny little television speakers. It's not the same thing. It's never going to replicate the same thing. So don't waste your time and try it. So it's like, how can you set a system up that works? Like what we do, we have 2 different soundboards and 2 different people mixing. At most places, that's unreasonable.
Yeah.
So, but most consoles these days have auxes or mix buses that you can set a mix. I think that's what you do, right, Jacob?
Yeah, I send everything separately to one bus channel, and then I control it with an iPad on the other side.
Yeah.
So,
Like that's a great way to handle it. So that's most of people's problems. I can't hear what's happening.
yeah.
It's one thing to have a stage wide shot. At least you can kind of see what's happening with the people. But if you don't have the audio or like the lyric key is goofed up, like those are like the little things. Like you really have to fundamentally get a really good foundation.
Yeah.
And like you're just throwing pieces together. You're buying a switcher. You're buying PTZ cameras. You bought a X32 or whatever. That's great. But if like foundationally you don't have good rocks to build on, like how am I getting video into the stream? How am I getting words into the stream? How am I getting audio into the stream? And how is it reliable? And how is it within my means?
Yeah.
Then you're always gonna fight the issues that you see.
Yeah, that's what I struggled with when we were starting out. Was I was able to piece in everything, and I didn't have a good computer. Like I was using my personal computer, and it was a 2015 MacBook, and technology advanced so much from 2015 that it wasn't keeping up, and eventually that laptop died. And
bro, I was surprised that laptop was still working until now this year.
It wasn't working.
It took me 32 minutes to open up an email that you sent to me on that computer so I could get Pro Presenter lyrics to you.
Yeah, that was
that's funny.
I don't know what to do with it. I can't afford to buy a new one, and that's my personal computer. I don't know what to do with it, but yeah. So
We'll cover the data and get you a new one, right?
well, I don't have that kind of money sitting around. So if you want to send me the $1,500 to buy a new one, then go ahead. I'll take it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I'll send it right over to you. So from a money standpoint, I've seen churches get into a live stream system for about $5,500, and that's just maybe they've got a little bit of equipment here, a little bit of equipment there, but maybe they've already got the soundboard right. But they spent about $5,500. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It really just depends. I mean, I definitely think you can get something within that range. Honestly speaking, I think that in that price range is kind of where a lot of people run into a lot of technical issues.
yeah. Tell me
Like I've seen lots of issues so like you have audio and you have video, they have to go together and they have to be aligned,
Right.
or else I'm talking, audio's coming, I'm talking, audio's coming. It's not in sync. It's like a lot of times, like in that price range, you run into that issue. Not saying it's not doable. I think like particularly with OBS, you just have to kind of change your settings every single time you turn it on.
Yeah, that's
So
what I have to do now. So
it's really hard. I mean, that's really, really like, I would say like the next step up, there's a couple options that kind of fix it. I don't really, price range is probably closer to 10 grand but it's, you're trying to get the content out. So as far as how technically how that stuff works, the last piece or the last filter, whatever you want to call it, needs to be the most reliable. And using a free computer software.
Yeah. You're going to get what you
try
pay
to
for.
get that stuff out. Exactly. Yeah. That's a great way of putting it.
Do you have any suggestions on what kind of program to use? That's not OBS. Yeah, obviously OBS is budget friendly, but if somebody has the option.
If you can, I'll stick on the Resi thing just because it's the next one that has there's a box by Aja, whatever you want to call it, called the Helo, HELO, all capital letters. Basically from your video switcher or your video source, HDMI or SDI plugs right into it. And then you do like your Facebook key or your YouTube key. You can only do one from it. That one's, it's not a large price tag.
What are your thoughts on Boxcast?
I'm just not super familiar with Boxcast. I know Hyde Park, they use Boxcast, and Russell loves it. I think Garrett
Yeah.
uses Boxcast, and he loves it. It's definitely a good option.
Yeah.
When you start to use like streaming boxes like that, that's where it's super important to embed the audio into the video so that it's perfectly aligned
Yeah.
from then on out. So like you
Right.
can perfectly, like this is what we dealt with at D Now, is we perfectly aligned the video right into the computer, and then OBS did its thing, and it was off by like 1,000 milliseconds, which in reality that's a lot of actual seconds.
Yeah. I think it's like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's a lot. Somewhere in that ballpark. I would say top of the line would definitely be something like Resi. It has an initial startup cost. There's actually, if you use ProPresenter, Resi has integration with ProPresenter, which is pretty dope. Then you have a monthly cost with it, which the monthly cost, it's normally like $50 a month per campus. So if you have multiple campuses, it would be somewhere in that ballpark.
That's called Resin?
And Resi, RESI.
Okay.
And I'm trying not to be a salesman, but we do love it.
It's just a recommendation.
Hey, if they want to sponsor this podcast, then I'll take it.
Yeah, they're really good guys. The company started in a church in Dallas. Their main offices are now here in Colorado, so we use them a lot. We love them.
It's cool.
That's kind of like your top level thing. Boxcast, man, at Highland Lakes back in like 2010, we were using, was it Ustream?
Yeah.
Dude, I haven't touched that thing in ages. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Don't use it.
Well, and it came with a box too. I think when you signed up for the premium plan or whatever, they shipped you a box, and you it's kind of reminded me of Boxcast as well.
Yeah, and Boxcast has a monthly thing too. Like most,
that's right.
Most like stream providers that you're going to be able to ingest the video in sync and it stay in sync. There's going to be a monthly cost to it, but I would say like foundationally and fundamentally, that is the most important piece, and that's where most of people run into their issues.
Yeah,
audio
and
video.
Spend it. Yeah, do you want to spend it on that syncer? Yeah,
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. Jacob,
man, I have 1,000 questions. I don't know if they would benefit anybody else. I just, I'm still trying to figure out our live stream, and it's finally getting to a point where I'm satisfied. I can't say satisfied because I will never be satisfied until it's actually perfect. But you did add a delay recently, so it's synced a lot better. I have
right?
finally figured out how, because I've taken the audio out of the switcher and put it into an audio interface, and I have finally figured out how it's all lined up every Sunday, depending on the internet. If it's not uploading fast enough, then it won't keep up. But it is perfect. I finally learned how to put a delay in the soundboard, and then I added delay in OBS, and it synced up perfectly, and I am satisfied with that. Now it's to the next thing, and that is ProPresenter on live streaming again, because I used to, and then I realized one thing at a time. It was something was dropping off, and anyways, if you're into the live, like if your church is starting the live stream, all I have to tell you from my personal experience is just be patient with it, because you don't know everything, and you're never going to know everything, but you take your time and learn. I'm still learning, and I've been doing the live stream since day one of COVID, and I mean, but I've learned a lot from it. I learned how to stream gaming, so look out for the Youth Pastors Pastors 2 podcast gaming channel. I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. We have
not farm.
Okay. I hate both of you.
Dude, I'm not huge into social media, but sometimes like I'll just pull up Facebook just because. And I came across a gaming channel of a guy playing Grand Theft Auto 5, but he's a state trooper.
Yeah, dude, that's
like driving around.
That's GTA role playing. I watch that all the time on YouTube.
And they have like a community of police officers, and they just like it was amazing. I watched it for it's like 5 hours, but I watched like 10 minutes of it. I was like, this is cool.
Some of them
I
are
have to come back to it.
some of them are super funny. There's some that will role play the criminals and
Yeah.
do stupid stuff. It's really
Fascinating.
really
It's
funny.
really cool.
So
Yeah.
I think I watched one with the boys, and Mr. Beast was giving money away if 3 of the guys could get away from the criminals and survive or something, and he was going to give them $10,000 or something.
man, if Mr. Beast could hook me up with some money, I think I would be okay.
I've had his burger because there's a food trailer on Uber Eats, and anyways, I ordered Mr. Beast's burger. It's pretty good. So
I have a question.
I think you summed it up real well, Jacob. Keep pressing forward. Work within your means. Try it. But then encourage people to come be a part of your community too, right? Live stream is great. Live stream is wonderful about getting the message out there. I think it's almost like a preview road, and then some of those folks that are never going to step through your doors are actually going to log on and they're going to get to hear the gospel.
And you don't.
And I love that aspect.
I think one of the cool things I looked into Boxcast to use for our church because people were asking about streaming to multiple platforms because right now we're just to Facebook, and when we get to that point, we'll get to that point. But right now we're just focused on, making it good enough or good to be online. But we don't know where our targets are right now, but on like Boxcast, it gives you like, hey, this is where your viewers are. And I think on our podcast, like the what do you call those? The intellects of where we know where everybody's watching and listening or whatever. There's one guy that's listening in Beijing or something. We don't know. We kind of think that's a what do you call a VPN, but
could be, yeah.
But we're still thinking this guy's in a different country listening. But if he's or her, whatever, I think that's a cool thing about Boxcast. I don't even know where I was going with that. I was just talking about Boxcast because I talked to the sales rep guy there a couple of times, thinking I'm gonna jump into this, but I don't. What would your personal experience be like? Have you come in contact with people that come from your live stream in person? Like, have you seen the effects of that?
Yeah, I mean, we just got done with the series. It was kind of like a storytelling series, and every week in the message there was like a video. And it was kind of fascinating. All 3 of the 4 weeks, the stories were people who found us online somehow. So one of the guys was in Iraq. This was a while back. And he found Flatiron's church online in Iraq when he was overseas. His wife lived in New York, and so they started watching it together. And at Easter this year, we did baptisms and Easter on the same week, which is crazy. It was a lot. I actually got COVID that next week because I think because I was so run down. But it was nuts. But they drove all the way down from New York just to come to Flatirons and be a part of the baptism, and we got to capture their story and just like to hear how Flatirons we were able to be a part of his journey to actually become a Christian, because he wasn't a Christian when he was in Iraq.
Wow.
And came to faith because of watching Flatirons online. He was in special forces and was like an Apache helicopter pilot. Pretty cool story. And that same week, this was last week, another guy named Bud, also military guy. He was kind of older. His neighbor had been asking him for years he wasn't a Christian, and found Flatirons. He finally watched an online service. Not to go too deep in the details, but he was at a really, really dark point in life, almost actually just giving up in life, and finally watched the service. And now he actually watches in person every week. So he comes since we've been open again. So there's lots of stories like that. I think, Jacob, you told a really awesome story a while ago of a guy in Smithville.
Yeah.
So it's like how, talking back to how do we be that church like Monday through Saturday and kind of on ramp. Like I think storytelling is the best way to do that. So like, how can you capture that story in a really great creative way and produce some content that you can, put out to those places where people watch. Because I don't think that God's reach is limited to just in person. I think people's lives are being changed all over the world through what we went through back in 2020. I think so many churches, I mean, the last church I worked at, we were told we were never going to live stream. That's just not what we're going to do. And they had no choice.
Yeah. I don't think
and now it's become a really big ministry for them. I think that was the mindset for a lot of places going into COVID. Like, why would we do that? We want people to come to us. I think it was a really cool, eye-opening step for the church of like, hey, we're not just within four walls. So how can we, we see that it's possible to reach people this way. So how do we find more ways to reach people?
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I say that all the time when we, especially like D now, because I try to open it up to the public, is that we aren't confined between the walls of the building. There's no reason why we can't reach out, especially in 2021 or even last year. We have, God calls us to use our resources to reach people.
And there you go.
The internet has developed in the last 20 years to where we can use that as a resource. And if you have the means, then we have, I mean, you have to do it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, like, look how, and not to get like too philosophical or in a sense, but like, look how powerful, I guess, evil's pull is in that thing. And like lightness and goodness always outweigh and outdo darkness. So like, God's impact should be even more impactful online and in the internet than even darkness and evil is. And that's all consuming in today's world.
Yeah.
Facebook and TikTok. TikTok. I call it TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but I get lots of TikToks from YouTube.
No, I don't reach out for TikToks. I just see them on Facebook, and then I share them. So
they're pretty great.
I
stopped at Facebook. I kind of have a Twitter. I don't know how to use it, but I was big into MySpace, Facebook, and I only post pictures for my family, so they don't ask for pictures.
Yeah. I think you might be in my top 8 on MySpace.
Yeah. I probably guarantee you that Morgan was in my top 8.
There's apparently I haven't like confirmed this, but there's apparently a server that exists and a website where you can actually go and find your MySpace page. You can't make changes to it, but you can see the last state of it before they turn the servers off.
Oh my goodness!
I haven't confirmed this. I've just heard that it's there.
I don't even want. I don't want to see it. It has to be cringy.
I remember.
Whew, man, I know my top 32.
All I remember is it turning into like this huge music platform. Yeah. And it was music, indie music, and it was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Something else.
I got Facebook, and then I kind of veered off from it. But I think I don't know if you have anything to add, but I think we just ended the discussion on live streaming in the perfect way and why it's important if you have the means. If you don't have the means, we're not telling you you're not going to be effective as a church just because you don't have. My church is in the middle of nowhere, and we have satellite internet. So there are Sundays. There are some days that we don't get the option to live stream. Like if it was when it was snowing back in February, there was no chance. There was no chance of getting anything out there. So, I mean, we still record and still put it out. So if recording it and then putting it out later on Sunday afternoon, it's doing the same work. We just it just happens not to be live, but it's still, most people aren't going to go back and watch live stream until, they're in bed or whatever, because, days are busy, but they still have that option no matter what time it is. It doesn't have to be at 10:30 or whatever time people in Colorado have church. I don't
9 and 10 o'clock every Sunday. We have a 7 o'clock full dress rehearsal. So 7, 9, and 11.
All right.
which would be, if you're in Texas, 10 and 12.
Well, I'm in line at Chili's at 12, so
Yeah.
you better, or Whataburger, since you.
Somebody today at work made a joke about, oh, you got to beat the Baptist to Chili's on Sunday. I was like, that was my childhood. Yes. You get it. He's also from Texas too.
Oh,
So
yeah,
he
well,
knows. He's from
There you
Houston.
go.
I
There you
make
go.
that joke almost every time I preach. Is like I teach youth, so my sermons are shorter because their attention span is shorter, and 2, you got to beat the Methodist to Catfish Parlor or whatever.
There you
Oh,
go.
dude. I love that place. I miss that place. The little like
Catfish Parlor.
hush puppy sticks
Yeah,
with the little green tartar sauce. Oh,
we went there just last week or the week before
Oh,
for
it's so good.
Amanda's dad's birthday. It was
Still on point.
yeah.
And
Man.
back when I used to go
So
to Elgin graduations before COVID restricted everything, we would go to Catfish Parlor after because they did it at Travis Expo Center. I don't know why they always had it at Travis Expo Center. I guess it's because of weather. And then I would take the youth that came and we would go to Catfish Parlor and just stuff ourselves with hush puppies.
So good.
So good.
Every time I fly into Austin, I just go to Catfish Parlor, and like if I have a long time for my flight, and I'll just sit there at a table and eat hush puppies. And food. I love food. Food is like cooking and cooking is a hobby of mine. So
and tornado chasing apparently.
Yes, we had a crazy tornado. While I'm talking, I'll pull up the picture of it. Yeah. Tornadoes they're pretty common apparently. It's the first one in 3 years, but they say they happen all the time. I do a brisket or a pork shoulder or pork butt every weekend, one or the other, and it's kind of my getaway. Can you see it? Not really. It's kind of hard to see it.
We'll post it. We'll post it on our Twitter.
Yeah. There's that one, and then this other picture that I sent Jacob.
I can't tell you how angry I am about Morgan not even chasing these things, just happens to walk out his front porch and it's happening. Yeah.
This was over my Bobby, he's our video director. This was like over his house. It was going over his house forming.
That's
pretty
crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
I chase these things looking for tornadoes and Morgan's just like, oh, well, look at that. Like, what the heck? Why can't I catch a break like that? I mean, to be fair, I don't want tornadoes over people's houses. I want to see them in open field.
Yes.
But
dang. It was wild. It was as I was getting off work and I was like, man, it's kind of dark out here. And our house is 20 minutes from our office, and I'm driving home and I see it. I'm on the interstate and I see it forming. I'm like, crap, my house is right there. So I call Kelsey. No answer. So I'm like freaking out. So Matt, one of my friends, he like sends me a picture, and it like in the picture, it looks like it's right over my house. I'm like, great. And so he went and checked on him, and he like knocked on the door. I have a Ring camera. So I like watched the whole interaction. It was funny. And he's like, there's a tornado. And she's like, what? Oh my gosh. I was like, Kelsey, you could have died.
Hey, be careful what you say. Your wife watches this. She's our only YouTuber that watches this. So be careful what you say.
It's just funny. She's like, are you coming home? I was like, I got asked last minute to do their podcast. She's like, oh, okay.
Oh, she's
cool.
like, oh my gosh, my husband.
She's like, I won't get mad at him because he's doing the podcast. So that's good.
Oh, we will vouch for you. Tell her to call us if she needs like a letter or something. We'll send one in the mail.
Yeah, totally. Well, we like to end our show with our guests with 2 questions. Do you got time for 2 questions?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Craziest story, whether starting at camp to now. What's one of the craziest, funniest stories that maybe you can share without going to jail or anybody else going to jail? Makes you just go, oh my goodness. Now, I mean, I've got one. While you're thinking, we were about to open the doors for worship.
Oh yeah.
And Morgan had been up on the scaffolds hours playing with these park cans at Highland Lakes, and he was up there playing and playing and playing and playing. And the doors, it's like 7:27, and I'm like, Morgan, the lights aren't working. Morgan, the lights aren't working, and I don't know what happened, but I'm like, I run up there, I help him, we plug it all back in, And then we tear the scaffolds down, and at like 7:32, we open the doors. I mean, it was frantic, but we made it happen.
And the lights
And
worked.
I
Mostly.
thought to myself, I'm not going to let Morgan do that so late in the day next time. You know, if he wants to play with the lights, he's going to do it in the morning, not in the afternoon.
Yeah. That's so funny. That's been like the biggest challenge in my current role because we have a systems guy. As you can see, this is his office.
Oh, yeah.
He's a lot like me. He likes to tinker with things up until the last minute. So I don't get to do that anymore. But that's how I got so good at what I do, is like just messing with things and making it work. But back to the original question, story.
And it doesn't have to be like involve your
from PG to rated R. What's my like limit?
There's none. I don't.
PG-13.
I don't.
PG-13. Sweet.
Wait.
Okay.
What are you doing in the ministry that is rated R? That's
PG-13.
Well, I was
what? We're talking about that.
I was okay. I didn't know we're keeping it to ministry. I thought we were talking about like our circle of friends.
Hey, why not? I mean, you do that too.
We're gonna edit. We're gonna have to edit this whole episode now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
We're not friends. What are you talking about? Go ahead. Tell us that story.
Goodness.
Whatever story.
I was just going to tell the story from my wedding because that's just I was looking at Jacob and that's the first one that popped in.
Not the only thing that popped that day.
You definitely have to edit it. Good grief.
No, we can leave that in. It's funny.
Okay. Kelsey and I are getting ready to leave for our honeymoon, and Jacob like taps me on the shoulder and golly, this is hard to keep this clean.
All I said was don't have babies.
There you go. Don't have babies. That's a great way of putting it. And I said, sweet, sounds good. And we turn around to wave, and Jacob's like probably, and I'm going to over-exaggerate it because it's what I do, probably 100 yards away from me at this point.
I don't know if that's an exaggeration because you were at your car and I was standing at the door. So
it was a long ways away. And we had the little rice thing. So people throw the rice, you're supposed to take it out of the thing and throw the rice. And Jacob winds up with the rice still in the bag and launches it 100 yards, let's say 100 yards, and hits me right there. And that was it.
Marriage day.
Listen,
and I refrained from getting him back at both weddings. I had plans, but I didn't do it.
Well, you almost burned me.
I did have to.
You almost burned me on the second wedding with the sparkler.
The sparkler.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The sprinkler.
The sprinkler.
Yes.
So
good times. Yeah. That's it. Does that answer your first question?
I mean,
fair question. I think that's
now everybody's going to know that I have perfect aim when I throw things, but not that I was aiming for that. I was definitely not aiming below the belt.
What were you aiming for?
His chest. The wind took it. It was,
the wind. Yeah,
you're
up on a hill. You're up on a hill.
Yeah. It's like pitchers throwing to second base. They just throw it.
Yeah.
So
that's
So the second
Jake,
question.
you got the last question?
Yeah, the second question is, what is the last song you intentionally looked up on like Spotify or Apple iTunes or whatever, YouTube?
I can tell you. Let's see.
I mean, I did just ask you.
Well, I can look at my search history.
He is looking it up right now on the Google.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yes.
Is it PG-13?
Boom by POD.
Oh my God.
Only because we're doing it as a special song next week, and I was like, "Oh, I love that song as a child, as a teenager."
I haven't thought about POD in years.
I wanted to have it was that, and then "Misery Business" by Paramore. So I looked up those two songs recently.
That's funny because
and on iTunes, I'm doing a funeral tomorrow because we do like 5 a week. I had to look up a Dolly Parton song recently.
Oh, Dolly.
You know what's funny is that
Dolly.
I will openly admit, and that's why I laughed, is because last week I was driving, and I was like in this phase where I was like, I kind of because after our podcast last week I talked about Linkin Park, and I was like, I'm gonna spend the day listening to Linkin Park just because And then I turned on Stained. Like it's been a while, and then I was
man.
Then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check out POD again, And I listened to that like 5 of POD songs just last week after because I was driving all day.
That's
So
funny, dude.
it was just crazy that you said you looked up Boom from POD. I was like, I just listened to that like a week ago. So
Such a
Haven't thought about those
classic.
guys in years.
Dude,
Years.
yep.
yeah.
Well, Morgan, we want to thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, especially
wanna
last
thank you.
minute. Like,
Yeah, yes, definitely. Man, what a great time with Morgan. I think, everything he said was very important for each of us to remember. Live stream gets us in the door. Live stream shares the gospel with so many people, and Morgan just sheds a little bit of light on it from a big church perspective, even to a small church perspective, because we're all in this together, right?
yeah, it's just he does work in a bigger church, but he helped me personally set up our live stream with like just helping me set it up and all that stuff. So he's seen it. He's been part of small churches, and then God called him to bigger church in Colorado from Texas, and
Yeah.
I think that he really hit. I mean, he went behind the tech stuff and the what to use, what not to use, and all that stuff. But I think he really touched on it when towards the end about why live stream's important, why it's effective, and gave some examples. Those are examples of the guy in Iraq, man. That's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
I just said the guy in Smithville. These guys are across the world, and he was reaching them, and our podcast might reach around the world too. So the internet, man, it's crazy to think just 10, 15 years ago, churches were just, you're in your neighborhood, you would just go. And now we're, especially after last year, we're all kind of like trying to reach the world. And man, it's what the resource that God blessed us with to be able to use live stream, and people that know how to do it the right way, because I don't, and to have Morgan help and not just Morgan, Garrett helped too. So
come alongside and help each other out, right?
Yeah, and live stream is important if you can do it, and if you can't, it's not a big huge deal, and you're still going to reach the people that God wants you to reach through the message that you post, or you put out at church. So
that's right. It reminds me that I visited a church. I took a Sunday off and I visited a church 2 weeks ago, and they were they've got a brand new building. They got a nice setup. They've got a digital console. They've got the wireless microphones, but they're not set up for his live stream. They're ready to be set up for live stream, he said, but they just don't have good internet. So they felt like they don't want to live stream because it's not going to be effective, because it's going to be, it would probably be more of a distraction than it would be a good thing, right? So good on them for not trying to really bend over backwards to make it happen,
Yeah, we struggle with the internet situation too, and I'll definitely pull the plug if it's going to be if I know it's going to be a bad broadcast, and we re-record and put it out, just like I said in the interview. So to really know that, hey, our internet's going to be more of a distraction is a big thing too. So
just don't be stressed over it, and
you
can do it. If you can't do it, it's no worries. It's no worries.
It's an option, and some people just don't have it, and that's okay. So
it's okay. Well, Jacob, I always like to mention that you can email us at youthpastors or pastors2. That's TOO, youthpastors or pastors2 at gmail.com. I sort of have started a Twitter on the side.
I've been tweeting some of those things.
It's at UPA. PT. I hope I got it right.
I think that's correct.
It's an acronym of our show, right?
Yeah,
Youth pastors are pastors too. So that's UAP. Never mind. Just look up Youth Pastors or Pastor 2 on Twitter. You'll find
us. Yeah, it's just Or just look up
My
Jeremy.
brain-
Yeah, it's late. It's 12:05.
I've been retweeting the stuff
Yeah.
too. So if you find me on Twitter, then you're going to find the Youth Pastors Pastor too.
You can also see us on Facebook. I think I posted a picture of our Call of Duty thing today or yesterday, and it's got a few likes. So
Yeah, hit us up with your handle if you want to play some Call of Duty, and I think we've got a show actually centered around Call of Duty, so you're gonna want to tune in a few weeks for that too. So
yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. I think. Oh man, I was about to say something and I completely forgot. Let's go back to what Morgan said about what are we doing online. I think really set home for us. It's like I think we're going to focus more on our not focus. We'll put more effort into our Facebook page to reach out to people and stuff, and
yeah,
because it is important, and we do need to focus on. For us, it's we only it seems like I personally focus on the Facebook on Thursdays or Fridays when we post the episodes, and then it's like let's leave it. Like I don't really look back to it. So I think we're going to try to put some more effort into reaching out on our Facebook and even Twitter if we can remember.
yeah, that'd be good, huh?
So yeah.
Well, you want to do it again next week?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for listening to the Youth Pastors Are Pastors Too podcast. Find us, rate us, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. If you want to see our ugly faces, look for us on YouTube. While you're at it, give us a like on Facebook. See you next week.